Hello and welcome to the Falcon Focus podcast. A day late, but here we are after Mother Nature hampered our plans yesterday. A winter storm altering, but we are here now on this Wednesday from now until 10:15 with the Falcon Focus podcast. We are live here on Facebook Live, archived on cuwfalcons.com. You can download the audio thanks to Podbean and listen through iTunes. And we're live here inside the CUW cafeteria. My name is Menzl. Our guest this week, we will talk about what takes place during the offseason. That with women's soccer assistant coach Hannah Kaul. We'll begin by talking with sophomore attacker Keijo as the men's lacrosse season gets underway this Saturday, season number 9 of Falcon Lacrosse. And they will get their season started against Olivet at 2 p.m., a team the Falcons were able to knock off by a 14-3 score a year ago. Kaul, thanks for your time, and I got to get your thoughts. You know, we were supposed to be here yesterday. Mother Nature hampered those plans. How was your Tuesday with the snow, and how did that maybe change some of your scheduling?
I had to be up early for lifting at 8:30, but living on campus, we have tunnels, so I didn't technically have to go outside at all, which was nice. So it didn't really affect me much, but I know a lot of my teammates struggled to get here with the weather and turning 10-minute drives into 40-minute drives and stuff like that.
Has this weather changed some of the practice plans? Have you guys been able to get outside really at all?
We've been outside, luckily, because our maintenance crew here can plow the field, but yesterday we didn't get to have practice. I know last week, a couple of days, we had to be inside, and being inside really just screws with your practice plan, but we make it work.
So how's the team looking so far in practice?
Good. We got a couple injuries here and there. We got a couple freshmen stepping up, a couple kids coming back, but we should be ready to go by the time Saturday comes around. We had a scrimmage last weekend and got a bunch of the bugs out, so we should be good to go Saturday.
That's exciting to hear that you have some freshmen stepping up, considering when you look at this team on paper, there was a lot of experience, a lot of talent back from that of a year ago. Who are some of the guys, in your opinion, based on the scrimmage, based on practice outside of yourself, that have looked good, that look like they're ready to take that next step?
Freshman Kyle Fuller has really stepped up big. Fall, he was kind of lacked a little confidence, but he's come in big this spring and played really well at practice and in the scrimmage. Hopefully, Stephen Gregory can come back. He's injured right now, but should be back this week. We hope to have a big year from him. And Aiden Connolly has been really playing well this year so far.
With so much talent back, this Falcon team predicted to finish first in the Midwest Lacrosse Conference. Do you like having that target on your back coming into the season that you know, when you look at this conference as a whole, the Falcons right now, or at least on paper, the team to beat?
I think we can use it as motivation. We've been chasing Aurora the last few years, and I think this will be good for us, give us that little push to keep pushing forward and stay on top of the conference.
Now, back in September, you were named one of the 4 captains of this lacrosse team, lone underclassman that's named captain. What does that mean to you?
I've been a captain my whole life, and just like a natural leader if I wasn't a captain. It means a lot to be able to lead these boys and take some of the responsibility that it is to be a captain and lead these boys, so hopefully farther than we've been before.
You talk about, you know, leading the team and that responsibility. What does that all entail exactly? When you say captain and you have to be a leader, what kind of things does that entail?
Making sure we're focused at practice, making sure we're working hard. If we're down, keeping each other up, staying positive, and just focusing when we're at practice, at games, stuff like that.
Last year, you were an all-conference honorable mention. You were third on the team with 42 points, thanks to 26 goals, 16 assists, a couple of game-winning goals, 7 man-up goals, 18 ground balls, 5 calls turnovers, 4 hat tricks, all in a row. How do you feel your freshman year went here at the collegiate level?
Better than I expected. Obviously, you just hope to get on the field a little bit as a freshman, and being able to come in and start every game but one. I just was glad to be able to make an impact on the team.
Yeah, you scored in 14 of 19 games. For the most part, though, was it a smooth transition going from the prep level to this level?
Yeah, the coaching staff and the upperclassmen really helped me. Like I say to all my the freshmen coming in, I thought I knew a lot, and when I got here, I learned so much. It was crazy, but it helped me. The coaches and the upperclassmen especially helped a lot. So,
at least for you, what was the biggest challenge or difference?
Probably coming from Minnesota, where lacrosse isn't very big, the speed. The game is really fast here, and it just took a couple games to get used to, but we're good to go now.
Well, last year the team went 13-6, also went 6-3 at home, went 8-1 in conference play, and advanced to the conference tournament championship for a 4th consecutive year. How would you summarize last season?
We wish we could have got to that main goal of winning that conference championship, but overall, like, we grew together as a team, losing that last conference championship game, but I think this year's our year. So,
do you have a favorite game or favorite performance, favorite memory from last year?
Like, as weird as it sounds, like, just like I keep that Aurora game in the back of my mind just so
Motivation.
don't forget about it, and you know what we want to do instead of losing again. So,
new season upon us, coming up on Saturday, even though, again, you look outside and wouldn't feel like it's time to go outside and play lacrosse. And you look at weather, though, and that does play a big factor, especially here on campus. You know, it might snow now, but, you know, you get the spring, and maybe it warms up, maybe it feels just like this. But how much does weather play a factor? Is it more of a mental thing when it comes to this sport?
I guess here, when it's snowing, the hardest thing would be seeing the white ball. The rain is probably the biggest factor. It can mess with your mesh in your pocket and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's the rain that would be our biggest opponent, I guess.
When I asked you what your favorite performance or game memory was from last year, one thing that jumps out to me was your guys' victory. You know, you faced Benedictine in the snow. And the odd thing about that game was it started off, the sun was out, or at least it was light out when the first half began. Nothing on the ground. All of a sudden, the snow started to come in, and pretty soon by the second half, the snow overtook. And, you know, you had student workers trying to, you know, with their shovels, trying to draw the lines out somewhat. What was that game like to play in? And okay, so you go in mentally thinking one thing, and then by the second half, you have to adjust to the elements outside of your opponent.
That was a weird game. We were like it was cold, but it wasn't terribly cold. And when that snow started falling, it got even colder, and your hands started to hurt, like trying to grip your stick. And that was a rough game to play in. Like, you lose focus trying to, like, focus on the game, fight the weather, fight the cold. That was a hard game to play in.
Even being from Minnesota, is that maybe the worst game you've been involved in weather-wise, or have there been other instances like that?
That was probably the worst game weather-wise. That sucked. I hope we don't have to do that again this year. But.
So how did you first get involved in the sport of lacrosse?
I didn't want to play baseball anymore. I was bored, and a couple buddies played lacrosse in Duluth, where I'm from, and I asked my dad if I could try it out, and my parents just kind of let me try whatever sports I wanted to. And in 7th grade, I started lacrosse, and I was like half and half in lacrosse and travel hockey. And by 8th grade, I was like all in for lacrosse, still playing hockey, but lacrosse was my all in. I just fell in love with it. So.
And you mentioned in Minnesota it's still not big, or at least at that point it wasn't as big as it, you know, the sport is starting to become here in the Midwest. Certainly it's big out east. But when you take a look at the development of the sport, what was it like when you first started playing to what it is now?
Oh, it's crazy. When I started, we had one, what was I on? U14, I think. We had one U14 team, one program, the Duluth Chargers. Now we have 2 high school teams for boys and girls, and then Grand Rapids, which is north of us an hour. They have a high school team now, and none of those were teams. They were just club teams that played together. And now our youth program, I think we have 3 different youth programs just in my Duluth area now. And there was like, I don't know, something like 100 U8 kids or something like that, something crazy. So it's growing rapidly. It's awesome to see.
And I read by your sophomore year, your lacrosse team had won a Minnesota State championship. When you go back to that sophomore year, what made that team, what made that game, what made everything about that experience so successful?
We were lucky enough to have a couple schools that played together. So we had kids from bigger schools and kids from smaller schools, and there was the only place for all of us to play. So we kind of, like, we had like almost a chip on our shoulder, like being like there together. And that team was probably the closest gelled team I've ever played on. Like, the freshmen from the seniors, like, everybody just loved each other. So that was a fun year.
What do you remember about the championship game?
I came off the bench and I dodged against a midfielder, went around, came behind the net and came back up, did a question mark dodge and scored. And that was like one of the coolest goals of my career.
Well, you take a look. Okay, you won a championship your sophomore year. In your opinion, can that experience help? Now you take it to the collegiate level. You've won a championship at the high school level. You know what it takes to get to that next level. Can you use that experience? Can that help serve you with this Falcon team and trying to help them now accomplish that next goal?
I obviously, like, being in any championship game is going to help, so I think yes, and we're working together as a team and we're looking good, so I think it'll be a good experience and help a lot.
So then how did you end up at Concordia?
I played a lot of travel ball. Coach Fahey sent me an email. I didn't know where I wanted to go, just kind of explore my options, and I came on a visit. I liked the tunnels. I liked the
especially after a day like yesterday.
Yeah, and coming from northern Minnesota, like people are like, the cold's not even bad for you, but it still sucks. Like, it's still cold. And I wanted to go to a place where I thought like I could benefit the team right away, and I thought I could help Concordia.
I just think it's funny because you talk about the cold weather, and I can remember a few years ago when this program was still in its early years, a home game in February was unheard of, and now it's becoming an annual event, and again, it will coming up this Saturday with Olivet at 2 p.m. Wrapping up our segment with Keijo Day, a sophomore attacker for the Menzl Lacrosse squad, and getting to know Kaul a little bit better, and so we call this rapid fires, asking you a bunch of random questions about you and your favorites. So, favorite food?
Ice cream.
What do you do before a game? What's your go-to before a contest?
Try to go out to the field, like 2 hours to an hour and a half before the game, get some shots, get some passing in, and then I just like to relax. I don't do much. I don't really have a routine. I just kind of go in the locker room, listen to music, and relax.
How about from a food standpoint? You mentioned ice cream is your favorite food, but as far as pregame meal goes, what does that have to entail?
Not a lot. I don't like to eat before games, but usually our games are at 12, 1 o'clock, so I'll eat some breakfast, and that's usually it, maybe some eggs and stuff like that, but not much.
Favorite music or type of music that gets you pumped up before a match?
Probably like Post Malone and stuff like that.
Okay. Favorite TV show?
The Rookie right now.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Miracle on Ice.
Top athletic moment?
Right now, probably my first freshman start last year.
Who was that against?
Olivet.
So it was the season opener.
Yeah.
Was that shocking to you that you mentioned you hope to have a good year but didn't expect to have the kind of numbers you had? Did you expect to be in the starting lineup right away?
Not when I came here in the fall. I worked hard in the fall with the guys, and the spring coming in, I kind of knew like I think I'm going to work hard. I'm going to hopefully have that starting spot. So by the time that first start came around, I think I was like pretty solid, knew that I was going to be there.
Do you have a nickname?
Nope, just KO.
So what is it?
Just KO.
Just KO. Hobbies or talents?
I like mountain biking and snowboarding back home.
Okay.
That's usually what I spend my offs. Video games.
Would this be good snow for snowboarding? The wet, sloppy stuff, or do you need more fluffy?
We like the powder more, so fluffy kind of.
What's your major, and then I guess big picture, what's your dream job? What's your dream scenario?
Sports entertainment business, and my dream job would be to coach Division I lacrosse.
Really?
Yep.
Getting some good tips from Coach Fahey?
I'm trying to learn everything I can.
To wrap it all up, if fans come out Saturday, 2 o'clock is Olivet, what can they expect to see from this lacrosse team this year?
With the new shot clock and new rules, it's going to be a fast-paced, fun, exciting game to see. So,
okay, we will get you to class. Thanks for being with us here again today, and best of luck here this Menzl Lacrosse season.
Thank you very much.
When we come back here on the Falcon Focus podcast, we switch gears to what do coaches do in the off-season. We'll find out from women's soccer assistant coach Kaul.
Okay. Well, all right.
Just hold on to it.
And welcome back to the Falcon Focus podcast. We are live, and the best part about being live is we can't control what happens live. And so the head of Steve's shower, Kleenex, Hannah Kaul is about to sneeze, so if that happens live, there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah, any moment now. This is live, the Falcon Focus podcast, special here on Wednesday after Mother Nature altered our plans yesterday. Quick note while she gets ready to sneeze, the softball team, a bone marrow drive taking place, so right now looking to find donors. So that's going on as we speak here on the Concordia campus. This is going on live. You can watch the archive on cuwfalcons.com. You can download the audio thanks to Podbean and listen through iTunes. So we go from men's lacrosse about to get their season underway coming up on Saturday to talking about a sport that right now is in its off season. And I know that's a question sometimes is asked is, what do coaches do now? It's the off season, and I know from a soccer standpoint, the high school soccer season recruiting about to get underway coming up in about a month or so, and being joined by Concordia women's soccer assistant coach Hannah Kaul. First of all, I understand you're the reason we canceled our show yesterday. So what was the weather like yesterday?
Dangerous.
Yeah,
it was dangerous. So I didn't want to risk it for all of our sakes. So
we appreciate
snow,
that.
Yeah. It was about 2 feet of snow in Milwaukee. My car was stuck. Actually, today, to get here, a snowplow pushed me out from the back of my car. So
We almost got canceled again.
Just delayed, I would say.
Okay.
I've been late, yeah.
So now you just completed your 4th season on the Falcon coaching staff, and it is hard to think when you look outside that here we are in February, and at least from a high school soccer standpoint, that season gets underway in about a little more than a month or so. Before we talk about the recruiting aspect, what does go on now? Okay, it's the off season. It's February. What's going on in the soccer coach's office?
So I would say the off season is about 90% recruiting. And since obviously we can't recruit in Wisconsin right now, unless if there's some indoor things. I was just at an indoor combat thing last weekend. We have to go to the warm places to recruit. So
Sounds tough.
yeah, it is. It's long. It's hot. It's sunburn. So this weekend, Coach Mindorf and I are both on the road recruiting. But besides the recruiting, we do a little work with the team, just team building stuff. So we can't work with them training.
Mm-hmm.
We only have 15 contact days to train with the team. So we hold that off until April. So hopefully we can be outside for that. But we'll do team meetings and just play games, inspirational stuff, things like that.
And with the soccer season, at least here in Wisconsin, the high school outdoor season about to get underway in about a month's time, when you go recruiting, do you have players in mind? Do you sometimes just kind of go into it just seeing what's out there? How does that come about to know what games to pick and who to look for?
Yeah, so we go to showcases, and there'll be 100 teams at the showcase. So go to different age groups. Right now, we're looking to start recruiting the 2020s, kids that'll graduate in 2020, obviously. So we'll go in, have a couple names that we've already been in contact with, watch them, and then really just look for players that we think would fit into our program.
Is that challenging, though, to kind of, you have to look that far in advance to know what the current Falcon makeup is and what needs will arise 2, 3, 4 years down the road?
It's really challenging, yeah.
Do you guys make like a wish list or a list of like what might develop?
This year, or after the season, we graduated pretty much our whole back line, except for a freshman that was playing. So what we're looking for in 2020 are center backs, or a back line. Obviously, we're just looking for good players that can play anywhere, but primarily we're going to be needing defenders. So we're looking into the future for defensive players.
I'm sure it helps that you played, but did it take a little training at all to, when you go out recruiting, especially early on in your coaching career, to have the eye to know like, hey, that player's got the it factor, or is that something you just again based on your playing that you know what makes up a good player?
When I first started, when I would be watching these games, I just wanted to play with them. But now, I think after working with Coach Ryan, we kind of are on the same page of the type of players that we're looking for. So technical players, extra fast players for out wide, things like that.
Spring season is going to be here before you know it, too. And that's another, for the Falcons, you're looking probably a couple months away. Again, it's hard to think about that when you look outside. But as far as the spring season goes, what's the focus typically during that month or so of exhibition games and practices?
We primarily focus on technical work. So in the fall, we'll tinker around formations and system of play. But in the spring, we really just want to get our touches right, clean passes, things like that.
How did you approach it as a collegiate athlete in your day? Did you approach it like it was a regular game, or did you kind of do the same thing where it's like, hey, I need to get better in this area, and so you maybe focus primarily on that during the spring season?
Did
you take it seriously?
I took it seriously. I just wanted to win, I think. I didn't care about
So it didn't matter if it was
better.
April. It felt like it was like October. It was, at least for you, it was like meaningful in that regard.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, let's get your coach's hat back on. And 2018, the team went 11-10, 8-3 in the conference, a NAC tournament semifinalist. How would you go about summarizing the season?
I would say it was a good season. We had a couple surprises of players not coming back. So what our mindset going into the season was different when the season actually started. And I thought it was a really good season. We had great leadership with our captains, playing through some injuries, and obviously we would like to have won.
Mm-hmm.
But making it to the semifinals, we did well.
And you mentioned this, a couple answers ago, but it looks like, at least on paper, the majority of the team has the ability to come back next fall.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah. We're super excited for next season. We have a couple good freshmen coming in that we're excited about as well. So next year is looking good.
You joined the Falcon coaching staff prior to 2015. Was coaching always a path that you saw? Is it something that just kind of came about?
Yeah. After probably about my junior year of college, I just knew that I wanted to be in athletics. I wanted to be a coach. So after I graduated, I was super lucky that Concordia opened a full-time assistant coach position, and so I just jumped right into it.
So what's your favorite part about coaching?
My favorite part about coaching would probably be just getting to know the team and bonding with them, because our girls are awesome. They're so fun, and they make coming to work fun every day.
And we're going to talk about some of the things that I know you've been involved in with the players and some of the fun that you guys have off the field a little bit. But who are some of the coaches, when you look back at your playing days, that you kind of point to and say, you know what, they had an impact on me. They influenced me. They're the kind of person that I kind of want to emulate when it comes to coaching.
The coaches that recruited me to go to UWM are the reason why I'm coaching. Michael Moynihan, Dave Nikolic, and then basketball coach Kaul was one of my favorite coaches as well. But the coaches that I came in to play for at UWM is probably why I'm here.
I asked Keijo Day the same question when we were talking about lacrosse, and he had won a state championship, back in his high school days, and how maybe that experience can help him, knowing that he's won at a high level, how that can carry over to the collegiate game. How about for you? You played at Milwaukee. You guys won a conference championship every year, NCAA tournament every year. You were with the Panthers, so the expectations of the bar was sky high. How can those experiences maybe help you from a coaching aspect? Now lead this Falcon team going, hey, you know what, I've won at this level. I know what it takes. Can you use those experiences?
Absolutely. Coming into coaching, from UWM, I knew one thing. I knew how to win. And I know what it takes to win, and it is hard. It takes a lot of work. So those demands and pressures that I put on myself as a player is carrying over to what I expect out of our players now.
And what's neat is you can relate to some players that try to play another sport here at Concordia, because you played basketball at the end. So, you gave that an opportunity, and it gave that a chance, and that had to be tough. You go from soccer mindset to all of a sudden you switch gears to basketball.
Yeah, I was probably the worst player on the team.
That's not what I hear, but yeah.
And we had two players on the team playing hockey and soccer. So I know that they were going through a lot, especially when the season was kind of crossing over from soccer to hockey. We have a player doing both soccer and track. So what's important is just being flexible with them, because I know that it's really hard on your body. It takes a toll. So just being patient with them and making sure that they're handling everything okay.
So for you, from a playing standpoint, your top athletic moment?
Top athletic moment.
Mm-hmm. Whether it be at Milwaukee or anywhere along the way.
Oh my gosh, I would top athletic moment. Well, I guess would be making the UWM women's basketball team after not touching the ball for 4 years. That was an accomplishment, I would say.
Even after you said you were the worst player,
yeah, but
you still found a way to make the team.
Yeah.
This show is probably nothing new for you, because you look at your career, and outside of being an athlete, at Milwaukee, you had your own podcast, so to speak. You guys had the post-game gossip with one of your teammates, Sarah Stern, which you can still find all the archives on YouTube.
Look them up. They're great.
How did that show kind of come about?
Well, each year the coaches or the SID would want a player to do like a blog or something for the alumni and parents to look at, and that looked like extra homework to Stern and I. So, and she wanted to be famous, so we thought a blog,
post-game gossip.
Yeah, post-game gossip would be the entry to that. So, and it was really fun. And now we're doing that. Well, it's called the Chirp.
I was going to get into that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But with the post-game gossip, was that scripted at all? Was that you guys could sit there and talk about whatever you wanted about that previous game, or?
So we would recap the game. We would talk about our upcoming games, and then just some gossip from the team, something fun that happened. And it was different than how the Chirp is run, where our video coordinator will take clips and put things together. Well, we didn't do that. We had to make it right for the first 5 minutes, so there was no messing up the whole time.
Was there any tension in the locker room, though? I mean, if you're doing a post-game gossip and you're starting to get gossip about the team, do you start to see players act differently around you because knowing that you're probably trying to get the scoop and then give it out on YouTube?
You know what? We try to keep it all positive, so no, there was no tension between the players. We would call the coaches out on some things, and I think they were a little bit more on edge, but no, we'd always support our teammates.
But then you have the Chirp, as you mentioned, now 3 seasons in, I might add. How was that created? How did that come about?
We just wanted more things to send to recruits, social media, advertise how cool our team is. So just from my history, that's what we did at UWM, be a fun idea. And the Chirp is way better than what post-game gossip was.
Ooh. And you make a lot of cameos on the Chirp, I might add. Do you have a favorite episode or a favorite segment that you've taped?
We've done a karaoke carpool where I have some of the players and I'm interviewing them kind of in the car. Those are always fun.
I enjoy when you and Coach Middendorf have to try to guess the player. And it's amazing how much you either do or don't know about some of the players, or you're trying to guess who's who.
Yeah.
Is it hard to get co-hosts? We had one of your co-hosts on with us back in the fall. Do you recruit the co-hosts? How does that work?
We have auditions for the co-host. It's pretty intense.
A lot of competition?
Yeah, everyone's trying to get attention out there, so.
I believe those two can be found on YouTube. I believe you can find the archives. If not, CWFalcons.com with the Chirp. 3 seasons on in, and again, Hannah makes a number of cameos, including a behind-the-scenes look at the women's soccer locker room. I think was season number 2, if I remember correctly. But
you're a Chirper.
I stumbled upon it once upon a time. It's good for pregame prep for a soccer match. But ultimate goal now. Okay, so is it to be a head coach one day? Is that what you aspire to be now? And if so, at what level?
Ultimate goal, yes. I want to be a head coach. I love Division III. When I first started out, I wanted to be Division I head coach, hands down. But there are a lot of great things about Division III. I also love being an assistant. I love the role of an assistant. So right now, I'm happy as an assistant. But I think down the road, I'd want to form my own program. And
sounds good. Well, Hannah, thanks a lot for your time. Continued success, and enjoy what's left of your off season.
Thank you. Thanks
Whatever
for having me.
off season it is with recruiting and warm weather. But again, we thank both Keijo Day and Hannah Kaul for joining us this week. A special Wednesday edition of the Falcon Focus podcast. Mother Nature, if it allows, we will be back on Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, back here in the CUW cafeteria from 9:45 to 10:15 a.m. And again, join us on Facebook Live, archived on CUWFalcons.com. Download the audio thanks to Podbean and listen through iTunes. Thanks for joining us for the Falcon Focus podcast.